What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Sci Fi Bookery. Today I'm going to be doing this Booktube Newbie challenge. Since this is a new channel, I got the questions over here, the prompts, and I'm going to go through them. So to introduce myself and the channel to everybody who wants to watch, all 2 subscribers at this point. So let's set that as a benchmark so that next year when I have 4 subscribers, I can look back on this and see how far I've come. Why did you start this channel? So I have other YouTube channels, fairly large YouTube channels that for like all my different hobbies and stuff like that. This is one that I didn't have anything for. I wanted to talk to people about books. I love to read, and I wanted to talk to people about the books that I read, and the people in my life just aren't super interested. So I thought I'd get on here and just talk to myself in front of a camera and maybe have some conversations with you guys in the comments or whatever. I already have, just a few videos into this channel. I've already had some good conversations with people and have been having a really good time. So I guess that would be why I started this channel. Number 2 is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? So I am fun and unique, but who isn't fun and unique? I read a lot of cool stuff. I read a lot of goofy science fiction. I read a lot of stuff that makes you think. So I think, or at least I hope, my analysis of those books can bring something unique or interesting or fun to the channel and to the BookTube community as a whole, and hopefully get some of those discussions going. Number 3, what are you most excited about with this new channel? Basically what I've already said. I'm excited about the conversations. I'm excited to share my love of sci-fi books, mystery books. It's not just, it says Sci Fi Bookery, but I want it to be just general books. Sci-fi is primarily what I read, like 90% of what I read is sci-fi. But I also love mysteries and things like that. We'll get into that a little bit. I think there's more questions about that coming up. But as far as what has me most excited about the channel, it's having conversations about that stuff. Number 4, why do you love reading? This is such a loaded question. I grew up reading, and then there was a period of time where I didn't read, and I didn't pick up a book at all. And then a while back, I started reading again and just fell in love with it, and I haven't put a book down since. So I think what I love reading is, I don't want to say it's an escape, but it's like going on an adventure, going on a vacation. You get to like live in this alternate world for a bit of time, learn about people, usually very intimately close details about their life. You can root for them, you can, be mad at them, whatever. And I just like it because it's like an alternate world to live in for a short period of time. So I guess it is an escape, I want to say. I mean, I don't like to escape from life, but it's more like a vacation for me, I guess you would say. And I think that's a general consensus among readers. I think a lot of people feel that way. So that's not a unique or different approach to it, but that's what I take out of it. I also like that it changes you too. Like, it changes your life when you read a book, and that's such a cool thing. I mean, that doesn't happen with everything. So I love to read, and that's why. Number 5, what book or series got you into reading? This is going back a long time, when I was a little kid, my mom used to read Little House on the Prairie to us, all the Little House on the Prairie books. She was really big into Laura Ingalls Wilder, her life, like just the history behind her, and that kind of era of moving west in the United States. So that was really what got me, it says what got you into reading. That was really it. I mean, I think it's so important to read to kids at an early age. I think that it prompts them to want to read, to want to get out there and find things that they want to read. And for me, that's exactly what it was. I mean, that was Laura Ingalls Wilder, if you can believe it. Laura Ingalls Wilder turned into Shel Silverstein, turned into Isaac Asimov, and kind of led me down that path to finding things that I really liked to read. So I would definitely equate or attribute Laura Ingalls Wilder and that whole Little House on the Prairie series as what got me into reading. 6 is, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? I saw this question answered before, and I forget who it was, but he said, I don't want to know what your favorite books are. I want to know why they're your favorite books. And I love that answer to this question, because that's, a lot of times that's way more important and more telling of the reader too. What your favorite books are and why. The why part is really important. But I want to take that one step further and say, how did a book change your life? Because that's what they do. They change, like books, they change your life. They make you think about things a different way. They make you see things from a different perspective. And I would ask booktubers, and go ahead and answer this for me. Here's a tag challenge, I guess, from a new booktuber. What book changed your life and why? How did it change your life? And that's my question for you. Question number 7. What challenges do you think starting a booktube channel will be the hardest to overcome? Like I said in the intro, I have other YouTube channels. I've been doing YouTube for, I don't know, 15 years or so. Like whenever YouTube started, that's how long I've been doing it. I've always had a channel, various channels here and there. I think the absolute hardest thing about having a YouTube channel, and specifically with Booktube, because it's a little bit of a smaller community, I think it's getting your content out to people, getting them to see it. That's really difficult because YouTube definitely throttles small channels. If you can grow your channel really fast, you're going to get out there on the front page. Doing all the tags and the categories and all that stuff really helps a lot. Great SEO with the titles and descriptions and everything like that really helps. But it is seriously a challenge to get out there, to get people engaged with your content. So that's definitely the hardest thing to overcome with any YouTube channel. And like I said, especially since this community is smaller, but I'm hoping that this community is small, but like rabid, you know, really excited to talk with each other and to be a part of the community. So that's going to be a challenge, but I'm willing to take it on. Question number 8 is, when did you start reading? And I started reading pretty early on. It was comic books mostly. I was probably like 4 or 5. I don't know. I mean, not like reading, but, you know, trying to pronounce words and stuff like that. And then I think the comic books kind of led into, you know, juvenile chapter books and stuff like that. And then it kind of evolved into, which was really funny because I kind of got into like reading by reading Shakespeare. I love the way that he describes things and the way that he can set a scene for a play in like the little descriptive part that you're not supposed to say on stage. That's the kind of stuff that really got me into reading itself. So I guess how did I start reading was, you know, those nights having Little House on the Prairie read to me, and then finding comic books and poetry, Shel Silverstein, Dr. Seuss, that kind of stuff really got me into reading then. And so I would think that it was probably about 4 or 5. It might have been kindergarten, maybe first grade, when I really started like reading, like reading whole words and reading full books and stuff like that. Number 9. This is, where do you read? I try to read everywhere, but there's, I guess I could rephrase that as, where's your favorite place to read? And I'm an outside reader. I love reading on the back deck. I have my own little spot there that I can sit in. And then when the sun shifts, it's got the like roof umbrella thing. And then when the sun shifts, I have another spot that I sit in. And then in the evening, I'll sit in the hammock, or I have some chairs further back in the yard under some trees that it's really nice breeze there in the evening. I like to be comfortable and outside. And there's also a spot in the house, so the 2 couches kind of face each other, and I read on like kitty corners. So there's a lamp over here, a lamp over here. So if I'm on this couch, I'm in that corner. If I'm on this couch, I'm in this corner. And I like kind of like quiet when I read. I read a lot like when the TV's on, you know, family's watching something or whatever, or outside everybody's doing stuff and I'm just kind of in my own little world in this book. But I like pretty quiet when I read. It's hard for me to concentrate, and I like to read every single word in a book. I don't like to skim stuff. I don't like to do the quick reading thing. I like to read every single word, so I really digest what the author's trying to portray. So those are my favorite spots to read, but when it says, where do you read? Anywhere I can. Anytime I'm not driving a car, I'll probably have a book. Number 10 is the most telling of any booktuber. What kind of books do you like to read? Science fiction, mysteries, not like murder mysteries per se, but just any kind of mysteries. I'm a huge Sherlock Holmes fan. I've read almost everything that Arthur Conan Doyle has written on Sherlock Holmes, as well as a lot of fan fiction. There's this book that I got to recommend now. It's super fun. It's called Sherlock Holmes in Space, and it's sci-fi writers writing Sherlock Holmes stories, and it's super cool. So like anything Sherlock Holmes related or that era of mystery, I really love. And sci-fi is kind of my main reading. Like I said, probably 90% of what I read is sci-fi. I like anything about like invasion stories, Earth invasion, planetary invasion, whatever. I like anything that has to do with like terraforming Earth. That I think that's really, really interesting. But mainly like dystopian books I find the most interesting, and those are the ones that I kind of gravitate towards. And those previous categories oftentimes are part of that dystopian storyline, but generally speaking, dystopian stuff is kind of what I'm into. I like that the way that a lot of older authors were able to actually predict the future through these dystopian books. And I just think that's so cool. That's such an interesting talent to be able to take the world that you know right now and totally flip it on its head and make it totally different. So I enjoy reading those kinds of books. I'm going to go with number 11 here as the bonus question. What does your book collection look like? Because I really like when people do this. So like I said, these are some of my books back here. These are some of my favorites. Also some that I just have here because they're for sale and I'm sitting right next to my computer desk where I sell them. I'll put a PangoBooks link on the bottom there in the description. But like I said, it's mostly sci-fi and Sherlock Holmes and some other random mysteries. I like to find mystery stories from authors I've never heard of before. A lot of times it's their only book or maybe their first book, and then they went off to write like self-help or something like that. So it's cool to see that. Like it's kind of like somebody stepping out into the world and you get to watch their first steps as they go. My book collection, like physical books, I like to read paperbacks. I'm not a big hardback reader. I would say a lot of what I have is comic books too. Forgot about that. I have a couple thousand comic books here, and I read mainly DC and indie titles. Favorite comic book character is Firestorm, if that's interesting to anybody. I'll probably have some comic book content on this channel too in the future, because that's one of my favorite things to do. That's kind of like my first love in reading is comic books. So my collection is pretty vast and diverse. I just got rid of a ton of like bins and bins, those plastic bins full of books that I was like, well, I'm not going to read that again. I kept maybe 20 books total out of hundreds. And so now I'm kind of starting over the collection and changing the way I read and being a little more discerning in choosing books. But I get a lot of my books at thrift stores. I get a lot of my books at garage sales. I get a lot of my books at library sales. I like cheap books, and that's just the crux of it. If somebody gives me a box of books for $5, I'm not going to turn them down. You know, I'll take that. And that's how I actually ended up selling on PangoBooks. Was I was buying book lots, and I'm like, I only want like 3 books out of this, you know, or somebody would give me like a banana box full of books. And I'm like, I only want a couple of these. So I would start selling them on PangoBooks, which is great. PangoBooks is a cool site because you can get books super cheap. So like all my books are like $2, $3 just so that someone else can enjoy them. I don't like donate them to a thrift store where they're just going to throw out half of them before they even get to the rack. Like somebody will actually buy it and enjoy it. So that's what my book collection looks like. And this is what my YouTube channel looks like. So I really hope that you guys can hit the subscribe button down there, hit like, enjoy this content. If there's anything you want me to do on this channel, I'm cool with it. Like if there's something you think I should read, recommendations, I'm always good with recommendations. I'm going to talk about in another channel about specifically recommendations. It's a little bit of a pet peeve for me, but I take recommendations all the time on books. If there's any other kind of content, like I said, I got the comic book stuff coming. So if there's anything like that you want to see, let me know. I mean, it's still a young channel. I got like 2 subscribers right now. This is good. I have another channel that just hit 1,000 subs and then one that's got like 22,000. So this is kind of like my little baby that I want to like nurture up and give to you guys. So thank you so much for watching. This was my Booktube Newbie Tag Challenge for 2022. We'll see you on the next video.